Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. You guys are in for a treat today because I am being joined by my friend, Lindsey Graham. And many of you guys are going to know her as Patriot Barbie. And I talked about her on my show during the Rona, during the lockdowns. You guys remember this? Father Fauci, the high priest of the Branch Covidians, and all of the lockdowns and all the insanity that we lived through. Well, Lindsey was in the city of Salem, so about an hour and maybe 15 or an hour and a half south of me. And she made headlines when she refused to bow to government overreach. Of course, that made me love her. I started following her online. That stand really did cost her, but it also launched her into a new chapter. And she has become a fearless voice for freedom. The story behind the nickname they gave her, Patriot Barbie, is amazing. I'm going to let her talk about that. Today, she's speaking out against the rise of wokeism in our culture and building something better. This is going to be a great episode. You guys stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Thank you guys for listening today. If you haven't registered for my women's conference on the Oregon coast, October 10th through the 12th, I hope you'll do that right now by going to HeidiSt.John.com/events. This podcast is being sponsored in part by my friends at the Functional Medical Institute. You can find out more about them by going to homeschoolhealth.com. All right. I am so excited, super jazzed, cannot wait for you guys to meet my friend Lindsey, better known as the Patriot Barbie. I'm going to let her tell you her story because it's fabulous. And you're going to love her as much as I do. Lindsey, woman, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, when you talk about COVID, it was 5 years ago, almost 6. It's just like, did that really happen? It's almost like we were living in another world. And even my own story, I'm like, that's my story. That's so crazy that we lived through that. Yeah. And then that's how we were both, became power. Well, I don't know if you became a powerhouse in that, but that really was my great awakening. I'll tell you.
Well, and I thought we didn't realize how important our governors were. We didn't realize what a difference a mayor, a woke, rogue, stupid mayor, we didn't realize, what could happen. And you had a hair salon, right, in Salem. And you were doing fine, right? Before all this happened, you just kind of living your life, living your best life.
Oh my gosh, that's like an understatement. So we had 6 businesses in Oregon. I had a 25-chair salon. My husband had a gym, and then we had 4 tanning salons, and I had just opened a hair extension company, and I was selling hair extensions retail out of my salon. We were, and this is going to be a really great asset to the story because it shows how powerful our God is. We were at the peak of our career. I mean, my salon was full. I couldn't expand. The gym was doing well. That was like our retirement plan. We had just built a beautiful home in Silverton, Oregon on acreage. Like, life was good. And I actually remember saying to my husband, like, it's just smooth sailing from here. And then literally lockdowns. So, I mean, gym, tanning salons, and hair salon, all non-essential, of course. And I was...
Unless you're Nancy Pelosi.
Totally. And she hadn't even done that yet. That just, of all the things that she did, there were 2 people that stood up in the very beginning. Shelley Luther in Texas, who was a salon owner, and then me in Oregon. And then what does Nancy Pelosi go do? She goes and gets her hair done. It was almost like intentional. Like, only the minions have to stay closed.
Haircuts for me and not for thee.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But we were at the pinnacle of our careers when this happened. So for the government to shut us down, I mean, obviously it changed my life for the better. Spoiler alert, for the better. But at the time, it was so, so devastating because people that don't own businesses didn't understand the government is not giving me unemployment. Not that I wanted it. They're not paying the rent on the 6 businesses that we own. They're saying you can have a PPP loan, but you got to use it to pay your employees that aren't working and that are also getting unemployment. And so that was really, I got to stress, I was not political at all prior to 2020. I mean, I don't think I voted for our governors. I didn't vote for anything. I voted for a president, and I voted for Obama in 2000, I think, was it 8? Just totally asleep at the wheel. I did vote for Trump the first round, but that was because I was an entrepreneur and I was like, he's a businessman. This country's a business. We need a businessman. It was not about Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
So for me to defy government, Kate Brown, the governor, really did say she's doing this as a marketing ploy. It's a stunt. And I was like, a stunt that ruins my life?
Right.
Okay,
right.
what an idiot I am.
So the stunt was you decided, so they locked you down and you did the 2 weeks to flatten the curve like all of us. I did that too.
Yep.
And then take us back, because what happened in Salem?
Well, we were the like extreme state, and I didn't know that either. I just thought that it was normal, that all of America was like, you got to wear masks outside and no one can work.
In your shower.
Yeah, like don't have friends over to your house. I mean, it was crazy. It's so hard to believe we fell for that for even a day. And so God bless us that so many of us woke up. But so we were locked down, remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then it was 2 more weeks, and then it was 2 more weeks. And it's embarrassing to say this, but nobody was really standing up and defying at that point. We all were just like, we weren't scared of COVID, the disease. We were scared of the government.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't buy any of this crap. Like, I'll stay home because my baby is brand new and I have extra maternity leave, but the government saying they can control a virus is the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. And I literally sat in my home and thought, nobody believes this crap, right? So everybody's just kind of obeying. So at 6 weeks, on May 2nd, I went to the Reopen Oregon rally and looked around and was like, oh man, these people believe what I do, that this is BS and we shouldn't be obeying. So I decided to open my salon on May 5th, and I posted about it in a group.
Now, how long have you been closed at this point?
6 weeks.
That's a long time.
Since March 23rd.
Yeah. So when you're a business owner, that is everything. And people were losing their livelihoods, losing their ability to feed their families, to pay their rent, to pay their employees, all of those things. And you're absolutely right when you say that employees that were getting, PPP money to sit at home and play video games in their parents' basement was a completely different scenario for people who own businesses.
Yes, absolutely. And really, honestly, I did look at my husband at 6 weeks and I said, the gym has a partner, so we can't make decisions for him. And Tan Republic is a franchise, so we can't make decisions for them. But I own my salon and my girls rent. And I'm not saying I'm opening the whole salon. I'm saying I'm going to do hair. And that's like the bare minimum that we can do so we don't go bankrupt.
Right.
I'm talking like you get to a point as a business owner where you're like, do we need to sell one of our cars so that we can pay for bills that we could have paid for all on our own had the government not shut us down? And when you start looking at everything you've worked for and thinking, I have to sell these things off. I saved for them for 5 years, 10 years. We saved for 15 years to buy a boat. We finally bought a boat. And we're looking at each other going, do we have to sell the boat to pay the rent on our businesses? And why is this fair? And we didn't agree to this, So I opened because I was like, we're going to go bankrupt. We're going to lose everything we'd worked for our whole life. And again, not politically driven, financially driven. And so it was 6 weeks, and hard to believe that no people were opening secretly and quietly. But I didn't know a lot about social media, which is ironic now. And I hated social media. The Facebook group that I posted, like, I'm going to open my salon. I hope that you guys will support me. And I meant, emotionally. Yeah. And that group was public. So people were sharing the post. And before I knew it, the news was messaging me and saying, we'd like to interview you to understand why you're opening your salon. And I kind of was like,
when people could die.
You don't know why I have to work for a living? This is a really stupid question, but okay, I'll answer. So then the rest is history. I mean, I did not expect it to be a viral news story. I didn't think I was doing anything heroic or brave. I was just like, we have to decide to open for our financial sake. Yeah. But the real virality came because people recognized instantly, and I was very public about it. The government weaponized every single state agency they could. Every single one.
They did it here in Washington. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
And it was all threats. But the biggest one was that they actually sent Child Protective Services and threatened to take my 3 kids. And that was when the world kind of lost it. And I was kind of living in my own world, not realizing how big this story had gotten. But that infuriated people. And what I really want people to hear is not the ending, but that at the end of that, when the government said, you could be open again, you have permission, I want to remind everyone that they never did throw me in jail, and they never took away my license or my hair license or my business license. They never kicked me out of my building. They never took my kids. They never fined me $50,000 a day, issued me a Class C misdemeanor. Those are all the things they told me that they would do to me. But they didn't, because they couldn't, because they were just trying to bully us into compliance, and it didn't work. They didn't have the authority even to wage those threats against me.
Yeah.
And so the next time you feel like you have to stand up for something and the giant comes after you, just remember how strong David and his little pebble is. Because just the knowledge that I had read the book you have to read to pass to get your hair license, I read it. And I was like, you've never had a government mandate where you shut the entire world down before. So how can you say that I'm breaking a law that doesn't exist? And so that's really important for people to remember is I endured the threats, but I called all of their bluffs and they couldn't uphold any of them.
Yeah. And I remember, because I wasn't that far from you, watching what was happening there. There was a woman here that opened a dog grooming salon, and they did put her in jail.
Oh my God.
Crazy. They did put her in jail, just for a day, but they were trying, it's just grandstanding and it's fear. Like people were afraid. And I think I might have been one of the because we opened up the Homeschool Resource Center. We did 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then I was like, I'm done. This is stupid. Like they don't have the constitutional authority to do it. Something inside of me from the very beginning was like, this is wrong. Like I smelled a rat, from the very beginning. And so I started talking about it. And then lo and behold, we started seeing, event after event after event. And yours was just one of the biggest ones. And it was right, really in my neighborhood. But what we learned coming out of this, and I know this is certainly your story too, because I want people to know how you got the nickname Patriot Barbie. But we found out that we're actually stronger than we think we are. And that we need to know the Constitution. We need to know what our rights are, because if people don't know what their rights are, the government will take them away. Yeah. And that's what they tried to do to you.
Yep. Well, and that's what they did do. They did do it to everyone, and they did do it to me for 6 weeks, and they did do it to you for 2 weeks. And I had people throwing constitutional quotes and paragraphs and paperwork at me saying, use this. And I was like, but I don't know what this means. And I don't have time to look into what it means because I've already defied the government and I think I'm going to go to jail. But I'm just doing what I'm doing. And they did take our rights. And it's you have to remember that is now the character of the government. That's the character. Character is what you do. Even when you know it's wrong and when you know the truth, they knew that they couldn't do to me the threats. They knew that they couldn't back those up. And so for you to do that to a mom, a working mom, an entrepreneur, a wife, shame on them.
Yeah,
it was intentional.
Absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true. Where did the name Patriot Barbie come from? Because most people, when I say, I'm going to have Lindsey Graham on my show, they're like, oh, and I'm like, it's Patriot Barbie. Oh, they know that name. And where did that come from?
So the left was making memes out of me, of course. I learned what the left and the right were in this whole scheme of things. I realized there was a political divide. So the left was making memes out of me, and they were calling me a Trumpster and a far right-wing extremist and all these things that I had never been prior, but they totally turned me into one. I bought my first MAGA hat in the middle of that, on Amazon. And this is before I ditched Amazon. Bear with me, people. Hold on. Don't kill me. Don't burn me at the stakes yet. I do not support Amazon. I bought a MAGA hat and I put it on and took a selfie just to just kind of piss these people off. They'd been at my throat. And they made a meme out of that picture and said, I don't always play Patriot Barbie, but when I do, I kill grandmas and I steal people's money. And I was sitting at home with my newborn and fighting the government. And I was like, you little jerks, I am done. So I changed all my social media to Patriot Barbie just to be let's see what you think about that.
So you didn't name yourself that. They did.
No, of course not.
So
no,
great. Such a great
created this.
Such a great story.
Yeah. So that was it. I looked up the definition of patriot and the definition of Barbie, and I was like, this is such a compliment. So I'm the Patriot Barbie. And then before you knew it, there were news events saying she goes by the Patriot Barbie. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
Here we go.
We're done. Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah. And so you ended up closing your businesses in Oregon. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I did fight the government. I would say that I won. I escaped with a $14,000 OSHA citation, which I still refuse to pay to this day. But when the George Floyd riots started, Antifa actually targeted my salon. I'd had the fight of my life. I was pretty exhausted at this point. I didn't post a lot about it, but they had said that they wanted to burn down my salon and assault me. And I did a call to arms, and about 400 patriots came outside my salon. Motorcycle clubs, veterans, ex-police, military, and we just protected all of downtown Salem. And of course, no shots were fired. But the media took that opportunity to spin, of course, this incredible narrative. My salon sign went viral on like 4 different platforms. And the narrative, of course, was that I was a white supremacist and a white nationalist and a racist. And I had hired white supremacists to come stand outside my salon for me. And that's
because whenever they lose the argument, then the race baiting and you're a racist. Yeah.
I had no idea. I actually at the time had issued a video like apologizing. And I was like, I'm not a racist. I'm sorry that anyone thinks this. And now I realize that's what they wanted.
That's what they wanted, sure.
They wanted, yeah. And I apologize for making that video now that I know their games. But then I really got canceled after that. I mean, my stylists received death threats. I received death threats. People started canceling their memberships at my husband's gym, canceling their tanning memberships. I was afraid to go out. I was afraid that people in Salem were going to, poison my food.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. And I go into a little bit more detail in my book. But it's definitely it was the darkest point in my life because I felt like the whole world hated me. And I was just at home at night, drawing the blinds, scared. All my stylists walked out. And so when you're left with like a shell of a business, I mean, you can only fight for so long before you're not fighting for anything. There's nothing to fight for. So we sold our house. I closed the salon. We sold the gym and the tanning salons, and we picked up and we left. We moved to Arizona in September. So do the math there. I reopened in May. June, July, August, within 4 months, my entire life had been ruined in liberal Oregon. Like they took everything from us. So we moved to Arizona, not necessarily to run, but really because there was nothing left for us in Oregon. And we'd always stayed there because we'd put down so many roots and built a life and a foundation. And when that was gone, we're like, we could do whatever we want. And my family lived in Arizona, so we just went for it.
Where are you from?
I was born in California.
Okay. And what brought you to Oregon? What brought you to Oregon? Family? My dad, in 6th grade, my dad got a job in Oregon. So our whole family moved to Oregon. So you really have been in Oregon most of your life at this point.
Yep.
And I think it's important for people to note, I still live here. Obviously, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and I think it is very difficult to pick up and move when you have invested, when you love a place, when you love a climate, when you've come to love the people and you've put down roots. So this wasn't a small decision for you. I mean, these people they basically ran you out of Oregon. Yeah.
I do think that sort of gets skipped over. I mean, we had built 6 businesses there.
Yes,
I'd lived there since 6th grade. My kids were all born in Salem Hospital. Again, we had just built a brand new home on acreage. We had built our forever home. So to move was like, it was devastating, but it was also, I mean, looking back now, it's hard to say that it was just simply devastating because now I know that God had a bigger plan. But at the time, we were leaving all of our friends, our neighbors, pulling the kids from the schools that they loved. Some of my family lived in Oregon still. So yeah, it was very... it was very painful. Yeah,
it is painful. And I think it's important not to skip over that because I think sometimes people see someone who's a bold, like you're very bold, you maybe didn't realize that you were, but you are. And now you know for sure. Right. And in the midst of that, standing and the courage that it took, the conviction that it took for you to do the right thing. There is a lot of pain involved. And I think that that's just true no matter how you slice it. When we go through things like that standing up, it really does cost you something. Recently I just did a podcast about my friend, Dr. James Dobson, who passed away a couple of days ago. And one of the conversations I had with Dr. Dobson years ago was what it cost him to stand for what was right. And when these people tell you who they are, we've learned to believe them. You know, if they say we want to come, I saw a lady, Lindsay, I saw a woman on TikTok this morning calling for people. She's like, if you see someone in a MAGA hat, shoot them. Like legit straight up said that. And I just thought, what is going on in this country? You don't hear that kind of rhetoric does not come from the Republicans. It doesn't come from people on the right as a general rule. I'm sure there's probably a one-off here and there, but you hear this kind of rhetoric all the time and you actually lived through it. And I think, you know, I highlight your story for a lot of reasons and we're going to get more into that in a minute. But the reason I keep talking about COVID on my show is because we can never let this happen again. And I don't believe that, I don't put it past the government to try it again. You know, if we lose control of the White House, if the conservatives lose control of the House and the Senate, there's nothing to keep these people. I saw the headline the other day that there's like one case of the so-called plague, whatever that is, in California. And I was like, oh, for goodness sake.
They're just trying to trinkle it in and see if they can get any nibbles.
Yeah. And we can never let this happen again. So fast forward, you know, so I've followed you for a really long time and I'm a super fan of just mostly for your courage. I have so much respect for what it took to stand up to that because I've lived it, you know, through that myself. And it is very difficult. And I'm just so proud of you. But about 2.5 months ago or so, I saw, you know, I have a pretty decent platform on social media and I saw a guy do a collab with Ulta. And I've been talking, I mean, people are used to, you know, me talking about this stuff on my Instagram. You know, cannot stand Disney. I frankly cannot stand Ulta. You can't walk into the Ulta in Portland, Oregon without being greeted by a bunch of bearded ladies who want to help you find makeup. It's so disgusting. But I saw a video of a collab that Ulta was doing with a guy known as Jonathan Van Ness. JVN is what he goes by. And I was so angry. I mean, this is after, you know, men invading women's sports and Riley Gaines, you know, trying to fight for her life, just not to be naked in a locker room with a full grown man. It's after Target has decided that anybody of any, you know, gender can use whatever bathroom they want to. I mean, it's disgusting. It's demonic. It's dangerous. Like all of these things. And then for some reason, I just snapped. I saw this guy and he says, you know, he calls himself, he talks about himself in the third person because that's his pronouns, right? The plural pronoun. So he said, he's talking about himself. We're going to be at Ulta for the first time. It's going to be Ulta fun. And he's prancing around in these glittery heels, bearded man. It's disgusting. And I just snapped. I took this video and I played it on my social media. I'm going to play it for you guys and take a listen and we'll get back to it.
Julian here is now at Ulta and I'm here to see the display for the first time, you guys. Hi, honey. What's your name? Paulina. Nice to meet you, Paulina. Hi. Nice to meet you. What's your name, honey? Nice to meet you. We're going to see what Julian hair looks like at Ulta for the first time. It's going to be Ulta fun. Okay, let's see it. She's so pretty. I got highlights since then. Do you think it's pretty?
It's gorgeous.
Do you think she's gonna get along with all of her other new Ulta friends?
Gorgeous, of course. She fits right in.
She does, right? Mm-hmm. JVN Hair is now at Ulta Beauty nationwide. We love the hair you have.
All right, so I post this video and it just goes viral. And I asked a very simple question. Women, where else can we buy makeup? I am sick and tired. And I've been going to Ulta for a really long time. Even though I don't like it, I go there because, you know, hello, it's just, it's convenient. It's fun. I think it's actually fun. I love shopping for makeup.
It's a makeup hub. Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I asked the women, I said, how many of you guys, if you could do something different, how many of you would? And that post just absolutely blew up. And it was like 99.9% of the women were like, I'm so tired of this because we're tired of people cosplaying us. Mm-hmm. You can't, if you're a man, you will never understand what it's like to be a woman. You'll never understand what it's like to have a period or have a baby or nurse a baby or any of, you know, hormones, for goodness sake, menopause. Yeah. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. And this erasure of women by a so-called company that caters to women was just the last straw for me. And so I put it up there and 1 million people were like, Heidi, you should try this. Heidi, you should try that. And so I started looking into other ways that I could get makeup and other ways that I could, you know, fight wokeism, because that's really what this is.
Yeah.
It's about fighting this cultural scourge that would deny truth and injure women and frankly children and little girls. And you've been outspoken about the rise of wokeism in the culture. And I wonder what you think is its definition at the core. Like if you were to define what it means to be woke, like when I say Ulta is woke, I mean they deny the truth, that they would sacrifice truth on the altar of whatever the culture is pushing forward. But I think people they see it, and we still see it even with Trump in there, right? I think it's less prevalent, but it's still there.
Yeah.
How do you define it? Like if someone was to ask you what woke is, what would you say?
I'm glad you teed me up for that, because I was like, ooh, I don't know how I would, but I think you're right. It's inclusivity over morality.
Yeah.
Because it's more, according to them, it's more important that I accept that a man can be a woman to make him feel good than I accept my own morality, which is that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and his word is the Bible, and the Bible says that God created men and women different. That's my morality, and I have a right to that. But wokeism says, no, you don't. You don't have a right to believe anything that hurts my feelings. And I completely, of course, disagree. And that is the hill that we need to die on. It's because is it about, yeah, as Christians, we should just be nice and it doesn't kill us if we're nice. But if you're denying Christ, right, the whole end game here is, would you deny Christ? That's what's going to seal the deal for you, because we know that it's possible. Wokeism is the slippery slope to denying Christ, because it's so inclusive and it's so loving and it's so accepting that it makes you forego your moral convictions, your moral commitments, in order to make someone else feel good. And we cannot coddle to that anymore. And that is why I'm with you. My platform has been since 2020, and it started differently. It didn't start with wokeism. For me, it started with, I stood up to the government and you all said you support me, but none of you came and got your hair done. And none of you stylists came and worked at my salon when I lost all my stylists. So you believe in me, but you didn't support me enough that I could survive it. And so I started asking myself the same question, but it's been a journey for me. And so the question was, am I doing am I doing the opposite of what hurt me in the time that I needed it? Am I supporting Christian companies? Am I supporting conservative companies? Am I supporting companies who are getting canceled for their beliefs? And the answer for me had to be, yes, that's what I need to do. And it's been everything like you're saying, from Netflix to Disney to Amazon. And then now here we are, Ulta. But my moment came because I was a stylist. I was super into MAC makeup. And I was very open-minded as a stylist, not politically awake, a lukewarm Christian. I had men doing my makeup and I was like loving him, calling me honey and whatever. Like I didn't care. I was super inclusive. And it's still okay to be, inclusive to a point. But I was a MAC snob, and I had tried my Freedom Cart, which I know is what you're getting to eventually, the products that you're using. And I had an audience of 100,000 followers. But for me, all I cared about was the way that someone presented it to me was vote with your dollars. And at the exact same time, Amazon had just announced that they were funding abortions for their employees to fly out of state if they needed to get an abortion out of state. And MAC had just announced that they were donating to this organization that funded transing children.
Yeah, MAC is one of the worst.
It's one of the worst.
And what's so sad too, because I love their makeup.
Their makeup is good.
I know their makeup is good.
It's good. Yeah.
I saw them in. I think I told you when I was flying somewhere several months ago. Maybe it was right around the Ulta controversy, but. I was out of my favorite makeup, or almost out of my favorite lipstick. And I was in the Salt Lake City airport and I thought, oh, I'll run over there. And they had a giant trans flag hanging from the front of and I just couldn't, something inside me snapped. And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
You have to know, okay, you have to know that it's not about inclusivity. You know this. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your listeners who probably already know it too. It's about, okay, if you go and shop at MAC, am I supporting the trans agenda? Yeah, you are. Because the money that you give them, they go and they give to BLM or LGBTQ or the trans agenda or getting trans ideology into schools. Like, yes, you are literally supporting that. So if you were in a war, would you walk up to your enemy and give him bullets to put into his gun to fire at you? No. But that's what we're doing when we don't make a conscious effort. I'm getting fired up. Can you tell? I get fired up about this.
Yep.
When you don't make a conscious effort to say, there's a Starbucks there and there's a mom and pop coffee shop there. I'd have to drive a little farther and I might pay a little more, but I'm going to go there because it matters to me a lot that the dollar I give them goes to like their kids' college fund or maybe to their church because they tithe. Then Starbucks is giving it to BLM or abortions or to transing children. Does that matter to me? Yeah, it matters a lot. And so making that effort to recognize that if you are in a fight, and we are, and you're giving bullets to the enemy, don't be surprised when you get shot. Why are we surprised when Mac doubles down on hanging pride flags in their facilities, in their stores, and now kids are turning trans because we funded an agenda that would propagate that to our children. And think about that. If you knew you were giving Mac $20 and 10 of it was going to them putting trans ideology into the school books in your child's school, you literally just handed that book over to your child yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the mentality we have to have. Because it's not a game anymore. It's not a game. The funding is not just like, they support BLM. That's too bad. No, they're funding this massive agenda to take our children, to trans people, to take away women's rights. If you're supporting companies that support that stuff, then you are essentially waging a war against yourself and your own children.
And I think people will say, and I think this is really important because this is, to me, it's part of a larger effort to erase women, to erase femininity in the culture. There's just so many, it's so much more than a man dressed in a skirt promoting makeup, right? This is everywhere, and it shapes a cultural narrative. And as long as we're giving money to the people that are shaping these narratives, who really are shaping the culture, then what we're doing is we're helping them shape the culture with a narrative that is devastating to, especially to young, and frankly, it's devastating to men as well. I mean, we could spend, hours and hours and hours talking about what happens if you're a white heterosexual man in this country.
Right.
And I think that the tide is turning, and I'm happy about that. I feel like, largely because we've got President Trump in the White House right now, and he's not the fixer in chief, but his presence there gives people who lack the courage to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done, the courage to do it. And I know, we can't avoid all of these companies, right? I mean, we cannot avoid all. I haven't really shopped at Target in like 8 or 9 years, but every once in a while I go to Target. I don't go to Disney. I have actually drawn a hard line there, and it's not easy. It's easy for me not to do that because there's so many other things to do. But in a lot of places, it really is difficult. And so I think what I've been telling people for a long time is just do what you can. Like, do what you can, the little decisions that you make, because I think, there's lots of ways that we can react to this. There's boycotts. I love the idea of finding alternatives. So before you tell somebody, no, let's start giving them alternatives. So you don't feel like you're pushing a rope uphill. Right. And that was kind of how you reached out to me again, because you saw that video of the guy from Ulta on my page. And what was your reaction to it?
The same as everybody else, but I had already had the solution. So thank God. I mean, a lot of the people on your feed were like, yes, we need a solution. Yes, we need a solution. I was like, oh, well, I'm the very fortunate one that already had one. But again, because my Ulta moment had already happened with Mac. And so I had already been shopping at my Freedom Cart for 6 months. I was buying other things, laundry soap, cleaning supplies, snacks, supplements and vitamins, things like that. But I actually did not know that they had makeup. And when Mac started funding, I think it was abortions also. They announced that they were going to fund abortions.
Yeah.
I had already decided I wasn't going to support them at all. But then I was like, I need to find an alternative. Well, around the same time, I was on my Freedom Cart shopping and saw that they had makeup. And I started testing it because I was like, it's toxic free and it's affordable and it comes to my door. It's probably not good. I was like, it's probably not good, but it was amazing. It was amazing. So I I sat there and I went, I need to make a reel out of this. I need to show my audience that there's a better way. I cleaned out all my MAC makeup. I didn't just say I'm not using it. I literally threw probably $3,000 worth of MAC away, and I bought all of the products from my Freedom Cart. And now I slowly, I've tried everything. So everything on this face is non-woke. Men never model the makeup. They are, it's toxic free. It's affordable. It's delivered to my door, and it's good. So when you posted that and everyone is saying we need an alternative, I was like, I have it. I was like, Heidi, give me the microphone. I found it 2 years ago when I ditched MAC. And so I would just love to see women empowering other women by making change like that. Because the other thing that you do when you shop at Ulta or you support businesses that erase women, what we're doing for that Jonathan dude, we're giving him millions of dollars when we should have been giving another female millions of dollars to launch her own hair care line with Ulta. I know millions of women would die for an opportunity like that. And we gave it to a man.
And we gave it to a dude.
We gave it to an ugly dude in a dress. It doesn't even look good in a dress, I'll be honest.
No. And actually, I looked up this guy. He is the author of Love That Story, Observations from a Gorgeously Queer Life. He toured with a comedy show in 2023 called Fun and Slutty. He wrote a memoir called Over the Top, A Raw Journey to Self-Love. He hosts the podcast Getting Curious with Jonathan Van Ness. I mean, this guy is a moral reprobate. Absolutely, for sure. And it wasn't enough for him just to be moral reprobate on his own. He has to cosplay being a woman. And it just drives me absolutely crazy, this guy. And so I really quickly, I just want to say, I'll link back to it in the show notes today, but I asked the question on my Instagram account. I said, okay, girls, where else can we buy makeup? I said, list every option you can think of in the comments. I don't think I'm alone in this. I'm so over it. If you still buy makeup at Ulta, does this collab make you change your mind? 4,483 people commented. 97% of them were like, we want to be done.
Wow.
We absolutely want to be done. And so, and that just shocked me. 5,167 people liked the post, 2,000 comments, 4,000 people voted in my poll. 97% of them said, I'm really sick of this. And I said, list everything you want. And I have heard from everybody and their brother, right, in my DMs. Of course.
You asked for it.
I asked, and I'm really glad I asked for it. And then you reached out to me, and we haven't talked for a long time. So I was like, girl, what's up? And you said, you got to try. I said, what you got? And I've actually been, so for several weeks now, for quite a while, I've also been trying the makeup, because I told you, I said, I'm not going to talk about that on my show and platform it unless I love it.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out, is it American made? And the vast majority of it is American made. The mascara that I'm wearing is actually made in Italy. I don't know if you know that, but
so
my Freedom Cut mascara is made in Italy.
Only
the wand is.
But everything else is manufactured.
Made in America.
Everything else is manufactured in America, except for that darn mascara wand. That's the only thing.
That's right. Italy doesn't bother me. I'm here. I'm supporting Italy right now. Italy, Argentina. Come on, let's go. Today's podcast is being sponsored in part by my friends at the Functional Medical Institute. You guys know I love Doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood. They are internationally recognized pioneers in the field of functional medicine, biohacking, and longevity, and they have been helping thousands of people transform their health by breaking free from chronic illnesses to achieve vibrant health. I love these guys. Their approaches are really unique and revolutionary, and they're helping people reverse chronic common disease processes and delivering real, lasting health transformations where traditional medicine often falls short. They tackle root causes and integrate advanced therapies like peptides. This is something I was telling you guys about. When I got my tumor diagnosis, one of the very first things that they did was put me on peptides. And it is remarkable what these guys are doing with hormones, supplementation, and functional nutrition, as well as cutting-edge data, including DNA and other advanced testing. And you guys can access them right from the comfort of your own home online. And I hope that you will, because they are producing unmatched, life-changing results. Check them out at homeschoolhealth.com and be sure to use the coupon code Heidi for 20% off whatever you order at the website. That's homeschoolhealth.com. But I was super encouraged about it. I see this as kind of part of a bigger movement to create parallel systems where we don't have to compromise our beliefs to do our everyday life. And I realize, again, this is not me saying, I know that we're still going to have to get things at stores that we don't necessarily love. That's life. Right. But wherever we can make these little changes, I think these small changes wind up to be a really big thing. So tell us a little bit tell my audience what you told me a couple of months ago about my Freedom Card, because it's really changed the way I buy makeup.
Okay. Yeah. It's basically, I call it the conservative Amazon. I mean, we just talked about, if I chose this coffee shop over Starbucks, I might have to drive farther or pay more or whatever. Maybe the coffee's not as good. I want to emphasize, and this is my belief as a 3-year shopper, that you don't make any compromise. You don't have to, which is what I love. Remember, I said I was going to try the makeup and I went in thinking it would be not good. I would have found something else if it wasn't good, but I found that it's good and it's toxic free and it's made in America. And the founder and CEO and entire board of the company is freedom-based and patriotic and loves veterans and loves America. And the product is good and it's affordable. I'm like, show me the catch. There's just really no catch. The coolest part is that, my Freedom Card isn't just makeup. So for some people, we're ditching companies like one at a time, right? Oh, ditch. Mm-hmm. You say, you draw the line at Disney, but you still go to Target. I'm like, funny. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I draw the line at Target. Like, I will not go into Target. I could have my Aunt Flo visiting and bleeding through my pants, and I still wouldn't go into Target. I would not.
It's crazy. I think I've gone there maybe twice in 8 years or 3 times. And one time, this is really funny because one time I was driving to an event and I realized I left my makeup bag at home. Like, I left it at home and nothing. I had absolutely nothing. And so I went into Target and the first thing I saw when I walked in the front door of that store was some dude dressed like a lady wearing a mask. And I was like, and this is why we can't have nice things. Yeah. But I got the makeup anyway because I needed it, you know, and whatever. And it was just the cheap whatever that I found there. But but I do think that those little changes that we're making really are making a big difference over time.
Yeah, if you knew that you didn't have to quit your vitamin company, your makeup company, your skincare company, Target, Amazon, like they're all going woke, right? So at some point you're like, what do I do now? It's a great solution because my Freedom Card offers all your household essentials. I mean, everything. My kids' toothpaste, body wash, hair care, this gorgeous hair courtesy of my Freedom Card. So I don't have to use one brand and then wait 2 weeks for my hair care company to go woke. And I'm like, I got to find that too. When you find an alternative, and I do think it's important. I love that you're open about, I had to run into Target and I had to shop there, that we don't shame people for what they have to do, but that we encourage them to make change where they can. And this is an easy change because, again, it's not costing you more or making you drive farther. It's all the perks that you love of Amazon, with the convenience, with the quality. And the only thing you're asking people to do is just change where you shop. And if everyone did that, 20,000 people a month actually move over to shop at My Freedom Card as opposed to Walmart or Target. And I think that that's huge. People are waking up. The more we start to funnel that money away from Amazon, away from Target, they're going to get the message loud and clear, and we will have funded our own movement.
Yeah. And we have the opportunity to do it. And so I really want, I have decided, I talked to Lindsey for quite a while about this before we figured I'm going to offer it to my audience because I believe in it. I don't talk about things here that I don't believe in. And I want to see Ulta and a lot of these other companies, I'd like to see them just go away. I would love to see a movement so strong that when they open their doors in the morning, the only people that are coming there are people that don't get it and dudes in skirts, right? Yes, and we have a chance to make a difference. If people want to find out more about My Freedom Card, you guys can go, we made a link for you, myfreedomcard.com/Heidi. myfreedomcard.com/Heidi. I'm going to link back to it in mentions today. And also I'll put it out on social media. And Lindsey, when they get there to My Freedom Card, what are they going to find?
They'll find a lot of great information, kind of things that I've already said, why the products are manufactured the way they are, how they're sourced, that they're non-woke, toxic-free, all that. They'll just put their name and number in, and then there's a team set up for you, as you know, that will call them and help them get a specific link with you to shop at 50 to 60% off. So,
yeah.
And that includes free products, coupons, discounts. Like, this is for the working mom. This is for the single mom. This is for the stay-at-home mom. This is for every family. So no one's roping anyone into anything crazy like an astronomical weird buy-in or crazy membership fee. It's, but it's not, I tell people like this. If you didn't know what Costco was, you wouldn't walk into Costco and say, give me a membership. You'd want to know, what are the perks? Why would I want a membership? How much is it? What's required? Okay, now sign me up. So there are membership perks to the store that people want to hear about. It includes free products and discounts and all that stuff. And so what your team will do is they will call your people specifically and introduce them to the most savings that they can get and then help them get signed up.
Yeah, I love that. That's what you did for me when I finally was like, all right, I'm done. Show me another way to do it. I got my box of skincare and lipstick and mascara and absolutely loved it. This is the first clean American-made mascara that I actually like.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually saying a lot because people have been following me for a long time. You guys know your girl's picky about mascara. And I actually really like it. I introduced my sisters to it and they're really excited about it. But what I'm really excited about is really starting to put a nail in the coffin of woke. I really think we can do it. And the more we start making these little systemic changes, I think we're going to see a real shift in the culture because the people who are controlling the narrative in this culture largely do it because we give them money to do it.
Yep.
It takes money to create a narrative. It takes money to put those giant billboards up. It takes money to do all these things. And when we shift our buying habits to other places, it's the same thing is true of the public schools. That's why I keep telling people, pull your children out of these schools. The only language that the woke public school system speaks is money.
Yep.
That's the language that they speak, and we can learn to vote with our dollars, and that's absolutely what we're doing. Lindsey, I think you're a national treasure. I really do. I so appreciate your voice. It takes courage to do what you did in Oregon. You relocated to Arizona, and now you're in Texas, right? And so
I'm hopping red states.
Yeah, she's hopping red states, and I'm over here trying to make a blue state red. I'm gonna keep working at it.
Who envies who here? You are doing the Lord's work, though. You got to be a stronger person on a more consistent basis to stay and fight. So that is very commendable.
Well, and truly, nobody has shut my business down. I mean, I think if what happened to you happens to me, I'll have to go. I can't imagine. I'm going to say, I just heard Pastor Jack, I was speaking with him in Sacramento last week, and he told the entire state of California, if AB 495 passes, pack up and leave. Yep. That was a huge statement coming from him. There definitely will be red lines. And if those red lines are crossed, obviously they cross that red line for you and you're like, I'm out. We're here because we feel like we're making a difference, and they haven't crossed the red line. You know, we've got a pretty big voice and a pretty big platform, and we're going to do everything we can to work hard for the people. I mean, this is Jeremiah, right? Pray for the peace and the prosperity of the city in which you live, because if it prospers, you also prosper. Wow. And I think we have an opportunity to do that. And I'm just so proud of you. I loved following your story, not because of how it ended, but because of the courage that you gave so many people to stand up and say, this country is worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for. Our principles are worth standing up for. And we should be putting our money where our values are. And that's exactly what you're doing now. And so I super appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show today. Let's go. Let's get some decent makeup and not give it to these weird men in skirts.
I'm telling you, it feels good. Every time I place that order, it feels good. I'm like, didn't contribute. Mark's safe from contributing to woke today.
Mark's safe from contributing to woke today. You guys can be Mark safe too by going to HeidiSt.John.com and checking on the show notes today. And I will link back to myfreedomcart.com/Heidi. That's myfreedomcart.com/Heidi. If if you're driving, you're like, what'd she say? You know, you can find all the show notes at HeidiSt.John.com/mentions like that we always have. But I want you guys to check it out and tell me what you think. HeidiSt.John.com. It's never going to be the same because we're going to stop buying woke makeup. You guys can do it all at the same time. So myfreedomcart.com/Heidi, myfreedomcart.com/Heidi. Lindsey Graham, you're a national treasure. Thanks for standing up so boldly and for not getting discouraged and quitting. I'm glad you found a better way and didn't just, run away and hide. I'm glad you're still out here.
Me too. I'll stay. I'm sticking around. This is too fun. The liberals make it too fun.
Way too fun. We're going to keep talking about this in the months and weeks that come. And you guys are going to find out more about myfreedomcart.com/Heidi because I'm going to start putting some of my favorite things up on my social media. You guys, one change at a time, incremental change over a period of time is going to make a huge, big difference. So I hope you guys will join me at myfreedomcart.com/Heidi. Lindsey Graham, Patriot Barbie, beautiful woman of God. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope this has been an encouragement to you. It has been for me. I hope you have enjoyed Lindsey's story. You guys, listen, this is your life. Show up for it. The choices that you make, the money that you spend, the ways that you educate your children, and the way that you live out this life that God has given you is making a difference because people are watching. I hope you guys will check it out at myfreedomcart.com/Heidi. If you've got questions, you know how to reach out to me, HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. Get off the bench, get onto the battlefield, and I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.